Finally tonight, senior Jack Curtis is the starting quarterback for the Carlton Knights, a college just south of Minneapolis.
Curtis threw 83 touchdown passes in his career, but he's also shown he can handle anything life throws at him. Omar Villafranca has his story.
How we doing, Hubbard?
Jack Curtis played his final college football game on Saturday while battling broken bones in his throwing hand and a life-changing diagnosis.
Let's go, boys.
The way they broke it to me was just straight up late stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
This summer, doctors found a mango-sized tumor under his arm and 2 smaller ones near his heart. During treatment, he set a new goal: chemo sessions on Mondays so he'd have enough energy to play with his team on Saturdays.
Touchdown!
The reason I came back is because 20 of my best friends were going to graduate and I wasn't going to be able to play with them.
In their final game, Curtis re-injured his already broken throwing hand, leaving him crumpled on the field. Now he had a new goal: to just finish the game. Scott Curtis is his father.
He's the toughest man I've ever known.
The Knights lost on the final play of the game. Afterwards, his parents joined him on the field.
It sounds so cliche to say, but like, I'm Jack Curtis's mom. You know, like I'm so proud to say that.
You are just the best football player I've ever had the pleasure of playing with.
Curtis and his team shared one final moment together on the field and created one more memory. In Northfield, Minnesota, Omar Villafranca, CBS News.
In tonight's Eye on America, we check in with the young generation because one thing it generates is trash, which has led to an intercollegiate competition to clean it up. Here's national environmental correspondent David Schechter.
When you're part of one of the greatest rivalries in sports, Michigan versus Ohio State, you'll talk trash about anything, even actual game day trash. And who cleans it up better? Lately, that's Ohio State, where Mary Lechieski is Associate Director for Sustainability.
Why do you think you're doing so much better than Michigan?
I mean, it just comes with the territory.
In this competition, armies of volunteers collect and sort through mountains of trash, separating what's recyclable from what's compostable, like food scraps and cups, forks, and plates made to decompose over time. Campuses nationwide compete each season to see who can recycle and compost the most. Last season, Ohio State claimed 2 national titles, one in football and one in trash. The Buckeyes diverted 94% of game day waste away from the landfill, topping the Wolverines at 79%.
How many people are inside here in a game day?
Well, we have 107,601 seats. And plenty more on top of that.
Michigan's Associate Athletic Director for Facilities, Paul Dunlop, is proud his team has won on the field 4 years in a row. But he's also proud of the message that stadium sustainability sends to fans.
I think if we can do it for over 100,000 people, you can do it at your house.
At both schools, students play an important role. Buckeye Meredith Butt studies ecology, but on weekends, she's here making sure all the trash is properly sorted and educating the fans.
I will go in the recycling. So much of what we throw away doesn't need to be thrown away. It just feels really rewarding to be a part of that.
At Michigan's campus farm, game day compost is turned back into the soil, which helps grow some of the produce served in the stadium.
This stuff is all going to break down, huh?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Grad student volunteer Mia Tarek studies sustainability.
Why are you following this as what you want to do with your life?
Waste is a very tangible part of sustainability. You don't really see emissions, you see the litter on the floor.
How proud are you of what you've accomplished here?
I mean, just extremely proud. Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be champions on the field, but for us, it's all about the diversion rate awards.
Maybe you'll be both this year.
I mean, here's hoping.
When it comes to this kind of trash talk, everyone wins. For Eye on America, I'm David Schechter in Columbus, Ohio.
Tonight's Eye on America focuses on the start of a new season for a high school football team in Georgia that was in the news last year. They took the field this past weekend under the Saturday night lights, and as Skylar Henry reports, the last thing anyone will likely remember is the final score.
For nearly 4 long, challenging, and even traumatic years, the Appalachia Wildcats had been dreaming of this moment. Finally, a big lead on the field. They hadn't won a game in 4 years, 0-29. Kevin Saunders is the team's latest head coach.
The team doesn't know what a victory even feels like.
No, they don't, but they have not won a varsity football game. Nobody in that locker room has.
When we first met him this summer, we noticed he wasn't here to play. He was here to win.
He does not know what he's doing. Ow!
Being a leader is not easy, and being a leader is not always accepted. You know, if you want to be accepted, you sell ice cream. You know, that's the easiest way to, you know, everybody likes the guy that sells ice cream.
Do they tell you to go inside or outside the guy?
His players, including senior linebacker Ryan Hansen, bought into their new coach's intensity.
A mentality that we have to have out here, you have to want to want it.
We got kids that have never played before that want to be a part of something now. And that could be a reflection of what's happened in the past with the tragedy.
The tragedy. This team was coming back from something more challenging than a string of losses on a football field. 11 months ago, a shooter at Appalachia High killed 2 students and 2 teachers. One, Richard Aspinwall, was the team's defensive coordinator.
It comes up a decent bit, just because that was my coach. That was my defensive coordinator. He was like my main man, but God's got it.
To deal with the trauma, Coach Saunders brought in Christian Guerra.
Do your job, do it well.
A mental performance coach.
Some players are, you know, they're just, the way for them to cope is, hey, I want to focus on being on the field, doing the best I can. You know, some, they want to talk about it a little bit more. Stay locked in. Stay locked in.
Hey, we're going victory.
Which is why Saturday night was so deeply meaningful for this team and this community as the final seconds ticked off.
Let's go, Coach. Let's go, Coach. Let's go.
They did it. 29-9. Their first win since 2021.
There's a community here that's going to be rooting for you, too.
This community wants to win and wants to have something positive happen for a change.
Football won't fix everything.
This is... I don't have one.
But here, it's now a reason to rally and to believe that the comeback is always stronger than the setback. For Eye on America, I'm Skyler Henry in Winder, Georgia.
The team was down on its luck, in bad need of change, when along came a kitty catalyst. Here's Steve Hartman on the road.
To show power and dominance, a lot of colleges have these mascots, live animals they use to fire up the crowd at football games. And Bowling Green State University in Ohio is no exception. Only their warrior guide is less frightening beast and more fancy feast.
Just little sneezes. He's got some allergies.
Oh, don't we all?
Meet Pudge, Bowling Green's 3-year-old Persian Patronus. Pudge attends every home game. His mere presence, like catnip for these dogged fans.
They're like Simba. Yeah, the crowd's like,
The players say Pudge has become a phenomenon.
There's thousands of people there just to see a cat.
For the cat?
100%.
oh yeah, he's quite the celeb.
People love him, and I guess I can't blame him because I love him too.
George Carlson is Pudge's owner and Bowling Green's long snapper. George first brought Pudge to the locker room earlier this season. At the time, he says everyone was in the dumps about some injuries. And he thought what this team needs is his cat. I mean, he'd seen Pudge work miracles before in his own life.
I mean, for me, he played a really big role.
Last year, George lost his mom, Kristen, to ovarian cancer.
It was very tough for me, especially living in a single apartment. I could get really down. You'd spiral really easily. But the thing is I could come home to this cat who's just funny looking. He's slightly odd.
And it helped?
It helped a lot. I just think the whole process would have been harder without him.
And it was that belief in the healing power of the purr that brought Pudge to the team and now to his legion of fans. Home game attendance is up almost 60% this year. That's the largest increase of any Division I school in the country. No doubt due, in part, to the long snapper and the long napper, who have given everyone in this community reason to cheer. Well, almost everyone. Steve Hartman on the road in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Tonight, Steve Hartman is on the road with a super dedicated sports fan who's in a league of his own.
Let's go! Fight! Sequence fight! Win!
We came to Antioch Community High School near Chicago to meet the record holder, the undisputed champion of showing up. As we first reported a couple years ago, then 91-year-old superfan Steve Young hadn't missed a single Antioch football game since 1946. Not that there hadn't been close calls, like the summer he got in a traffic accident in a thunderstorm.
I had 11 broken bones, punctured left lung, and while I was laying on a stretcher, I got hit by lightning, knocked me off the stretcher.
Wait. You got hit by lightning while you're on the stretcher?
On the stretcher. They got me in the hospital, and the one doctor said, he's not going to make it. And I said, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I said, I've got a game to go to.
And sure enough, a few weeks later, he was at the season opener.
But it's not just football. Steve has also been to virtually every basketball game, softball game, and volleyball match. He goes to tennis matches, golf matches, and even bowling tournaments. He is omnipresent at more than 20 sports, plus plays in concerts.
We talked to students and former students across 3 generations.
He was at our games, no matter what.
Rain or shine.
Home or away.
Every single one. He's always there.
For some athletes, it's maybe the only person that they have at the game, so.
Steve says that's true. Kids have told him so.
I've had kids come up and say, my parents never show up for anything.
What's that like to hear?
It kind of hits home.
And it's a big reason why he does it. After we first told this story, Steve got inducted into the Antioch High School Hall of Fame as a super fan. And of course, he still goes to games. Now 93 years old and as ever present as ever, with no plans to stay home anytime soon.
You're not going to live forever. You're going to miss a game.
Who says?
Steve Hartman on the road in Antioch, Illinois.
Our Eye on America correspondents travel the nation in search of stories big and small. Janet Shamlian found the small version of the biggest sport in the USA.
The school auditorium is rocking in the tiny town of Gordon, Texas, population 500. Excitement ahead of the football game is as big as Texas. Even if the contest itself is downsized, these Longhorns play 6-man football. Mike Reed is the coach.
Describe 6-man football to people who don't know what it is.
It'd be like watching a basketball game with football pads on. It's very, very fast. It's very, very high scoring.
And very realistic for schools too small to field an 11-man team, says Reed, who also drives the team bus to the games. Like this one in Lingleville, Texas, home of the Cardinals. High school football, almost religion here in Texas, is typically played in front of thousands. The stands here hold only a few hundred. But pride runs just as deep.
I think it's a necessity for a small school. It's just a huge booster. It's a morale booster for the whole community.
6-man has been around for decades, but is seeing a resurgence as rural populations decline. Texas now has more than 230 teams, up from 80 in the 1990s. In towns like Gordon, it's often the social event of the week.
It's the coffee shop, essentially, of when you've lost Main Street.
Granger Huntress is a freelance reporter who's covered the sport for decades.
So it's important.
It's very important to these communities. It's a sense of identity. There's this sense of pride. You know, this is our team. You know, we haven't had to shut down yet. We're still open.
6-man is a shorter and narrower field. Kicks are worth 4 points. A first down takes 15 yards. And every player does it all. Offense, defense, and special teams. The sizzling concession stand looks the same as any high school game. And plenty of hometown energy.
I feel like it's what brings people together, you know, in a world where it's so divided. It's like one thing we can get behind is six-man football, and that's exactly what we do every week.
Because there's a football team, there's also a cheer squad and a drum line. Offering the lessons of teamwork Coach Reed says every student deserves, regardless of where they live.
When they say, you know, football is life, it's not so much that football is life as it is that sports is life, adversity, and things that you have to learn through team building.
Preserving tradition, a leaner game with a lasting legacy, where the Friday night lights still burn bright. For Eye on America, I'm Janet Shamlian in Lingleville, Texas.